Talk sports now. The Husker search for six could elevate women's sports to new heights this year. According to the financial firm Deloitte, women's sports could surpass $1 billion in revenue. Last year became a game changer due to record-breaking events, and some of those included the Women's World Cup and NCAA women's basketball. The Huskers even smashed a world record in August. Remember that? Their match with UNO drew a whopping 92,000 people at Memorial Stadium. And with the Big Red in the NCAA tournament at Final Four, the team has another chance at taking the game higher. Channel 8's Karen Lucrece joins us live from the Bob Devaney Sports Center. Karen, how is the tournament contributing to the future of women's sports?
That's right, Rod. It's another Husker headline. But women's volleyball is typically overshadowed by other traditional televised sports. But now, with the Huskers eyeing their sixth championship, there's a growing recognition for women's sports. Just 10 years ago, women's volleyball was gaining little national exposure, according to John Schrader, a sports media professor at UNO. But that all has changed. Nebraska is home to one of the most successful programs in the country, now chasing a sixth championship. And with it, an opportunity to shine a spotlight on women's sport that could change the game, literally.
Clearly, volleyball at the University of Nebraska is not quite the same experience as it is in a lot of other places. But across the country, volleyball has exploded in the last decade. And that's partly because of the attention that's been given to it, partly because of the way it's been resourced. The television networks especially have learned over the last decade, and especially the last 4 or 5 years, that if they put in resources and promotion, people will actually watch.
While the sport is now growing in popularity in the collegiate athletics world, how it's televised is still catching up.
Women's sports hasn't been televised, still isn't televised the way men's sports are, and maybe they never will. The business is still mostly run by men, and most men think that the whole sports dial is to their liking. In the last few years, women's sports have been better financed, better resourced, and when they put in more cameras and more operators, and they put in more announcers, and they spend more time broadcasting it, people like it.
As the championship approaches, experts believe the Huskers' success could generate a change in how women's volleyball and women's sports more broadly are televised in the future.
Clearly, Nebraska draws an audience. And if you watch the game on Sunday afternoon between Nebraska and Wisconsin, the production was very high quality. The sound was great. It felt like a big event. It felt like an important television event. And that's another clue. When it feels important and it looks important and it sounds important, then people think it is.
Schrader says that from being underappreciated to potentially overriding the script of televised women's sports, this team's journey isn't just about a trophy. It's about breaking barriers, setting new standards, and inspiring the future generation of other athletes. Reporting from the Bob Devaney Sports Center, Karen Lucrece, Channel 8 News.
Thank you so much, Karen, for the live report. If you don't have the Now Local News app, now's the time to download it. Just scan the QR code on your screen. That way you can follow along as Sports Director Nate Johnson hits the road bound for Louisville and the Final Four. Here are a few of Nate's behind-the-scenes looks at the biggest Husker sporting events. Now to some Husker football and a look at where they're going to kick off next season. Officials announcing that the Big Red will take on Cincinnati at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. This marking the first meeting between them since 1906. This matchup was originally scheduled for 2020, but it had to be rescheduled due to COVID. This game will be on August 28th with the Bearcats serving as the home team. You'll be able to get your tickets as early as 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Before worrying about next season, the Huskers, have a little unfinished business in New York. They're going to be facing off against Boston College in the Pinstripe Bowl. Our Nate Johnson, a busy guy, will have extensive coverage on KLKN on game day. You can catch our pregame show at 10 a.m. on December 28th here on Channel 8. And then you don't have to move at all. You can watch the game right here on KLKN.